Kennedy.
You heard the announcement from referee Tommy Little.
My linesmen are Dan Armijo and Nelson Quintero.
Desi Keegan is the one serving the ball here.
0-0.
His doubles partner is Owen Kennedy versus team national champs Tom Sherridan and Duxie Walsh. It's one thing to say that Desi Keegan hits a hard ball. It's another thing to play with him and have him do it while you're in the court. I've had the luxury of doing both, announcing and playing against him. Listen for the score here. 0-0. Desi Keegan is wearing the black shirt. They're the underdogs here. All four of these players coming out of that 60-by-30 Big Alley season in Ireland. They're not all four, they're not totally comfortable playing four-wall, but yet they're here in the semifinals of a major 40-by-20 championship in the United States. Who would have thought about this just a couple months back?
Side out.
The score is 0-1. Try to help you out here. The gentleman with the ball right now is Duxie Walsh, current National Pro Doubles champion, alongside his partner from Kells Meath in Ireland, Tom Sherridan. We call him Tommy the Cannon, who just got hit right in the back with a cannon shot from Owen Kennedy. Owen Kennedy from Dublin. Score now is 1-1.
1-1.
This semifinals match is a precursor to the next one coming up. This is the bottom bracket semifinals. Vincent Munoz and Marco Chavez will play a little later on. In fact, after this one is concluded, do not stop your live webcast viewing, because it's going to get exciting when Michael Keegan and Robbie McCarthy face the team that's going for a four-peat. Well, in the booth right now with me, joining me, is James Comstock. James.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
You said you were looking forward to
seeing this match that's going on right now in particular. Keegan and Kennedy against Walsh and Sherridan. Walsh and Sherridan were the four-wall national champions this past June. And Keegan and Kennedy are a powerhouse dynamite team, an All-Ireland semifinal.
You have Desi Keegan playing the right side.
Yeah, I think that's probably smart. Owen Kennedy's, in my judgment, the best player on the court, and he should take the lead on that team and control the rallies as much as he can.
Score is 3-1. I don't disagree with you. Boy, that ball just popped out.
Yeah, so the court's pretty wet. And
it is, but there wasn't a lot of wet calls in comparison to the Chapman match during the Alan Garner Moreno match that just took place that you refereed.
Right, and that is true, but you know, you get to the point where there's enough slides so that it's in the players' heads, and that's a really bad thing.
That's true. Dave Chapman said after his match that you ref that not only was the ball sliding, but he felt that the ball was lopsided, that balls coming off the front wall were not setting up correctly.
Yeah, they switched out the ball in the middle of the match because they felt it wasn't bouncing properly, which is entirely appropriate. Balls can be lopsided right out of the can, and I think it really does affect a whole lot when you play with a lopsided ball.
Especially at this level. I think you can get by with it locally in a lot of ways, but here on this stage, you better have everything perfect. That's what makes it so difficult for the walls when they're slick, because every single ball is sliding. I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. Even the ones where you don't call the slide, there's something going on.
Right.
Whether
the players want the trust factor of knowing how the ball is going to bounce, and when you get into a situation where the court's so wet that you know it's sliding frequently, they lose that trust and they don't really set up the way they normally should, and they kind of are tentative, and that's bad. It's bad for the level of play in the match.
I like this camera angle right here, watching all of the action. We use this one a lot when we're watching four-wall doubles. See every player on the court. Desi Keegan, boy, he hits that ball hard. You know, yesterday watching the doubles with Duxie and Tom and Bike and Watkins, it was obvious that you could not get a ball past Duxie Walsh on that right side.
That's correct.
But let's see what Desi Keegan can do with that huge windup of his.
John Bike was always known as the power hitter of the Pro Tour in the 80s and 90s. He's probably lost a few miles an hour off his fastball, and you'd probably say that Keegan hits it harder than anybody these days.
If Keegan can get a ball past Duxie Walsh, then I will know for a fact that it can be done.
And Duxie played very well. He had very good hands, so you'd hit a rocket at his feet, and he'd still do something with the ball. I think Owen Kennedy is one of the most underrated players in professional handball. I think it's just because he doesn't get over for a lot of the pro singles events, and so a lot of people don't know his name, but he really is a top 5 player in the world, in my opinion.
I agree with you. He made it to the finals of our Fireball Classic back in March. Tucson, Arizona, playing Dave Chapman, lost against Dave. But, you know, the thing about Owen Kennedy as we watch this play develop is the fact that he is really devoted to the 60-by-30 Big Alley code,
right.
And that's what he trains for. And if the big matches are happening, which they always seem to do, right at the end of a season or the beginning of a season, he's just not going to come over and play. And it's not because he can't travel. It's just that he's electing not to change codes. And right now, he's coming to this event just a couple weeks after the conclusion of that 60-by-30 season. Now, some of these other players also play 60-by-30, and if they're in the finals, they probably wouldn't make this trip as well.
Wow.
Now, all of these guys play that code, and so some people at home are saying, wait a second, Desi also plays 60-by-30. He doesn't have a problem coming over here.
Right.
Well, Desi's not always playing in the finals like Owen is every single year.
Right.
Duxie is playing in the finals most of the time, but he's also retiring from that code. And he's also now trying to show up at more American events because he's winding down that 60-by-30 career of his.
Right. And it is a different game. You use different shots, different strategy, different mindset, and it's tough to jump back and forth between the two.
This is game number 1.
Replay, 4 serves 3.
Score is 4-3.
It reminds me of the fact that in Chicago we have seasons of handball, and in the summertime we play 3-wall from probably May to the beginning of September. And during that time, nobody plays 4-wall in Chicago at all. And everybody plays 3-wall, and then back when you get into the fall, you try to get back into the 4-wall game, and it's like, you know, if there was a big tournament in September, you'd be going after having only played 3-wall. So
second serve.
6 serves 3. I want to say hello to Robert Fox, Evan Sherridan, Those in Kells, County Meath, Ireland. It's not in Northern Ireland, but it's in the north part of Ireland.
There's a back wall setup that Keegan just barely missed. He went for the rollout as he usually does, but he just came up a little short that time.
I'd give a shout out to all of Owen Kennedy's family, but they're here at the event. His sister Katrina is back in Dublin right now. I believe his other sister is in Australia, hopefully watching at about, I don't know, 3 in the morning. That's that signature look from Tom Sherridan, who dives in and misses the ball. He takes the ball off the back wall with his tongue sticking out.
Right. It's an odd sight.
Yeah, it's kind of different, but that's how he does it.
Whatever gets it done.
I use my tongue when I'm eating ice cream, so if you took a picture of me in an ice cream cone, you'd have the same look. That's when I do my best work, just like Tom.
Second serve.
See, here's Kennedy. He's brought his team out to a 7-3 lead, but yet there hasn't been anything spectacular, just nice, steady play.
Very quietly with a lead here at 8-3.
That's part of the reason that I think he is so underrated, is that there's nothing flashy about his game. It's just steady and solid.
It's like Owen Kennedy brings his A game every single time. He doesn't even have a B game.
Right.
And it's so solid and steady. It kind of reminds you of maybe a Fred Lewis in a way where it's defensive offensive.
Right.
He puts it
using a drive shot as a defensive shot.
He's not like Duxie where he'll go for these amazing kill shots from deep.
Right.
But his shots end up being pass points or side outs from deep in the court, but he doesn't do it at a point where he's going to hit the ball into the ground. Very safe, but also very athletic. And a guy that's athletic like Owen Kennedy is going to wear you down.
Sure.
Now, we saw Owen Kennedy play Dave Chapman in the finals of the Fireball Classic, and it was the opposite of that. Dave Chapman, who you thought was already wore down by that point, played against this guy, and we said, okay, here it is. Now here's the real test. Owen Kennedy, very safe, but also very athletic and very much in shape, is playing Dave Chapman. What is Owen going to do to Dave that nobody else seems to be able to do here in America? And Dave just ran him around the court and won very easy. But talking to Owen after the match, he said, you know what, I just felt a little nervous.
Okay.
I hate to say that. No, he's been on the big stage a lot.
Sure.
And trust me, when you go to Ireland to one of the 60x30 championships, whether it's singles or doubles, and you see that big stage there, they have more people watching that championship than is watching right now here at Los Caballeros or even on the webcast combined. They have a huge stadium full of people watching. Owen knows how to deal with that energy and the hype and all of the stuff surrounding that. But you know, it is a little different when you're coming over and playing in America 40x20 at a game that Dave Chapman has mastered, and you're going against a guy you've never faced before. And I think if they would have played maybe 3 or 4 times prior, it would have been a different result.
Yeah. And Chapman has a way of figuring out very quickly what he needs to do to win the match.
You don't hear pro players talk about, or top elite players, senior players like Owen talk about being nervous.
Right.
But he said that he felt like he had a little bit of butterflies that just couldn't get away from him during that match.
I think all of the pros, at least in certain matches, do get the butterflies, but they kind of wear off once you get in there and slapping the ball around after a few minutes.
8 serves 3.
Sherridan likes the punch shot. You'll see him punch the ball with both hands up to the ceiling. A lot of wrap shots and a lot of ceiling balls.
Look at that overhand tomahawk from Desi Keegan. Nice communication in there. Double bounce.
That looks like 2 bounces.
What you don't want to do is give a fat setup to any of these elite players, but you certainly don't want to give one to Tom Sherridan down that left wall.
That's right.
When he sets his feet, it's almost like he's shooting the ball out of a cannon, and that's why We've given him the nickname, The Cannon.
Yeah.
We're pretty creative people here. Everybody,
I think that's a fitting nickname for him. He's got that left corner wired, you know, and off the back wall. He's going to kill it, and it's either going to hit the left side wall and pinch into the middle, or it's going to go straight down the left wall, and that's his go-to shot. And you know, it would behoove these guys not to give him setups off the back wall.
how do you feel about Desi Keegan serving that hard shot, that hard serve over to Tom, standing on that left side? Do you think that's taking?
Yeah, so you know, it's always a difficult thing when you're playing a lefty-righty doubles team. So you got two strong hands against the wall. So your usual power serve, where you're trying to hug the wall, is going to be to their strong hands, and they're sitting there waiting for it. You can get creative and try a two-wall serve that goes through the middle, and I think you're going to see that, you know, throughout this tournament. If they continue on, you'll see some two walls against them.
Serves 3.
But in a two-wall situation, you're not really going for an ace. You're just trying to get it to their weak hand and maybe get an advantage or a rally for 3 shots later.
Owen Kennedy and Desi look really good right now.
They do.
Not just because they have the lead. There's some players, some teams that have a lead, they don't look really good, but together they look like they've been playing forever, and they really haven't played, I think, since the early 2000s, back when Desi was just a junior player.
When I heard that these two were playing doubles together, I thought that there weren't going to be enough shots to go around, and they'd be kind of crawling all over each other. But they're moving well together. Kennedy's taking the lead, which is appropriate, and Desi's playing a good right side so far today.
It's my belief that, now I could be wrong, but Owen Kennedy and Desi could be the very best doubles team that handball has right now, but we've never even seen them play. Just on paper, it looks good. You got the guy that has power, the underestimated dump shots from Desi, which nobody talks about, but Desi has the greatest hands up front, other than Dave Chapman and maybe Sean Lenning. Right. But they have a kind of a cool contrast where one player could get hot, and then you've got that unpredictability from whatever Tom and Duxie are going to do. Duxie is like an offensive weapon from anywhere on the court, and Tom is like shooting a ball out of cannon. So, of course, this is a great matchup.
It seems like Walsh and Sherridan are really trying to force the offense, and they've made several errors here. And it means that you're playing into Kennedy's strength, where he's just going to be solid and get the ball back. And if you're putting it in the floor, you're giving him free points.
Serve. Point.
The one weakness in Paul Brady's game, he's the best player in the world presently, but he's not much of a doubles player, that's for sure.
He's above average doubles, but he's not an elite doubles player.
That's right.
He actually has won a national championship in doubles, but I believe so with Mike Finnegan, or he won the world championship with Mike Finnegan.
I think it was probably the world's. But so when you get into the project of trying to match up two guys to make the best doubles team, I don't think that Paul Brady's in that conversation.
I think it's Dave Chapman and whoever he decides to play doubles with is the best player.
Right.
I mean, you know, we always loathe on how great Dave Chapman is as a doubles partner or a doubles player, and you and I both have played with Dave Chapman. I'm assuming you have.
I don't think I've ever played doubles.
He's just amazing.
I've played against him many times, so I know.
It's very hard to play against, hard to play with, but he seems to win titles with so many different people.
I'd imagine that Chapman and Moreno, that would be a good doubles team. How about that?
So that's what we're doing then. This isn't exciting enough for us. We're having. I'm thinking Chapman and Duxie Walsh.
He's pretty handy in the front.
He's amazing over there on the right side. I mean, how could you knock Tom Sherridan? I mean, he's currently the national champion, and he hasn't done anything wrong. All he's done is hit 52 kill shots out of 57 attempts. That's an unofficial report, of course. In fact, it's so unofficial, I just made it up.
See, what we're seeing here is that nothing that that Walsh and Sherridan are doing are giving problems for Keegan and Kennedy at all. And eventually, they're keeping the rally going, and eventually Walsh and Sherridan make an error.
11 serves 4.
11 serves 4. This is the first game.
Feeling the serve, I call it good.
Keegan isn't hitting his super hard power serve so far. It seems like he's almost throwing kind of a changeup out there.
You saw Owen Kennedy appeal that serve, which means that was kind of a blow up for him. I'd almost given him a T. That's a technical, and you might even be out of this game. Don't question.
He's got the demeanor of Tony Healy,
right?
You know,
11
he
serves
won't say
4.
anything about anybody.
Might be one of the nicest guys in handball, Owen Kennedy. Very opinionated if he's off the record.
There's a rare error from Kennedy.
4 serves 11.
Now bringing the point total up to 5.
You gotta try to mount a comeback here if you're Walsh and Sherridan, and
5 serves 11.
they haven't really found the way that they're going to generate points, so they're kind of struggling through this first game. The one thing I like about the U.S. Open so much is that they don't allow players to play 2 events.
Replay, 5 serves
So
11.
that means that the top players have to choose between playing singles and doubles. And by and large, all the top singles players are playing singles because the purse is a little bit bigger. But it means that you're getting some very quality doubles teams that you might not otherwise see in a finals match.
Does he just hit that front camera hole? Yeah, I think you're right. But that's the uniqueness and the greatness of this tournament. In a lot of ways, some people want to go 2 ways, but it improves the quality of play,
Yes.
number 1. Number 2, it becomes strategic on who's going to be entering the tournaments, and now you're seeing some great matchups that you would never see in any national
6 serves
tournament.
11.
Right.
And another thing it does is it creates new rivalries and opens up the door. Nice shot right there from Owen Kennedy behind the back. But it kind of opens up the door for saying, hey, you know, maybe Desi Keegan and Owen Kennedy might play more games now because
Right.
of their success here at the U.S. Open. Now,
Right.
in Ireland, they usually match up county players, so you might see Owen Kennedy and Duxie Walsh playing on the same team, or it actually would be more of like Desi Keegan and Joe McCann playing because they're both from the same county.
Right.
So that's why you see some players that you say, why doesn't Paul Brady just play with Tony Healy? Well, Paul's
Right.
from Cavan and Tony's from Cork.
Right, and it's not that big of a country geographically, but to get from Cavan to Cork is a substantial amount of time.
It's like taking a golf car and driving from Irvine to San Dimas.
Right.
Trying to keep it current. Sorry.
But so I'd always ask Paul, well, what happens when you and Tony play practice matches against each other? How does it go? And he says, we never
don't.
do.
You would only do it once a year at least, at the very least. But Paul Brady's mainly driving up to play Ricky McCann, Charlie Shanks, and then of course Michael Finnegan there in Kings Court, County Cavan. I like it when you talk about subjects I have 5% knowledge of. Makes it seem like I know what I'm talking about.
So in terms of the doubles draw, I think the likely scenario here is, without getting ahead of ourselves, but would be a Keegan Kennedy Munoz Chavez final. To me, that would be a very exciting match to watch.
It would, but do not count out Robbie
Replay,
McCarthy
6 serves 11.
and Michael Gregan because they're scrappy.
Right.
And you just never know. I mean, you have the aging Vince Munoz
Right.
and Marco Chavez. Are they strong enough to take down that very young team? Robbie McCarthy has tons of power, and these guys have played together. So we'll just see what happens.
Munoz and Chavez have won this doubles tournament 3 times in a row, but the last one was 2 years ago. And in the handball world, 2 years is a long time.
In handball, we actually use dog years, and that was that's 14 years ago. And it seems kind of like that. They're actually going for a 2-peat squared.
There you go.
Which is a phrase that I actually patented, and I will be capitalizing on it whenever Phil Jackson decides to go be the manager, coach of the Vancouver Grizzlies.
Oh, what happened on that play? He just didn't get there in time?
I was thinking that the ball slid. I don't know what's going on, but I'm too busy talking about obscure references that even I don't even understand what I'm saying. It's 11-6 here. Let's watch this replay. I thought there was a slide.
I think Duxie just slipped as he went forward to get the ball, and I don't know what the call was.
Well, you are the lead ref, and you would think that the lead ref would tell the refs to be a little bit more vocal on the microphone and kind of announce a little bit.
We'll work on that.
It's kind of late in the tournament to start working, Mr. Comstock. You're hearing the voice of James Comstock for 17 years. The last time I said this, I said 15, so I'm kind of exaggerating. But 17 years you were ranked in the top 15.
That's an exaggeration.
For 11 years you were ranked in the top 17. Is it the other way around?
Yeah, I think, if you want to talk about top 12, that's it. That's
top 12.
That's
okay.
What used to be important. It was 5 years in the top 12.
5 years top 12, 11 years top 17.
10 years ranked. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was ranked as well once. Just wanted you to know that. I said once. It was just. I will find it. I will post it. You will see it. I beat Chip Morales and went into the quarterfinals of a Pro Stop once.
Nice.
2006, Athens, Georgia.
It's a good win.
Tiebreaker.
And then what happened?
I won because the referee made a lot of bad calls, and I admit that, but I still won. And then I got beat by Sean Lenning, who won the tournament.
There you go.
I always like to throw that last part in. It's 12-6, game 1, men's semifinals between that dude right there, Tom Sherridan, with amazing power, versus that dude right there, who also has amazing power, but also is on his backside.
He just put Desi on his backside with a strong power pass shot.
Now, do you recall ever playing Tom Sherridan?
Owen serving.
I've never played Tom Sherridan.
12 serve 6.
The score is 12-6.
And he didn't, for a lot of years, he didn't come over to the United States, and so he was a player that we all heard about, from Ireland, and that it was a great doubles player, but we didn't get to see him play a lot. But seeing him this weekend, I can see why he would earn all the accolades of his countrymen.
Well, he's 42 years old now. It's sort of like Satchel Paige. You're finding out how good a guy is in America, finally traveling over here after all those years. Now, he did play in the World Championships, I believe, I'm going to get this wrong, 2000, 1990, what do we go, 6? It's every 3 years, right? 97
was Winnipeg.
Okay, so I believe he was in 97. He lost in the semis, playing alongside, I'm going to just say blah, 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 because I don't know. And so he has come over to the Americas.
It could have been Duxie. Duxie was there. Duxie beat me in the 1997 World Championships, I think, in the quarterfinals.
So he has made trips over, and I also believe he tried to qualify. John Bike has the story, but either he did qualify once or he will. Here's the deal. His stepson, Robert Fox, who's in Kells, city of Kells, Meath,
1 minute.
is the county in Ireland, is going to email me and tell me exactly what he did in the United States, so I'll just use that as fact. I'm surprised that Tom the Cannon Sherridan doesn't have his own Wikipedia website we can pull all this information from. I tried to get it from him earlier, but I needed a translator. And the best they could do was give me Duxie Walsh, which as you know, is a little bit more difficult to translate than Thomas. Both are great dudes.
The Irishman that I always had the most difficulty understanding was Kieran Curran. He's from Northern Ireland, and he speaks a brand of English that sounds like it's not English.
Kieran's doing that on purpose. He doesn't know what he's actually saying. He's a good guy, though.
Yes.
And his brother, Chris, is the handball manager of GAA Handball, alongside Neve Egan, who's the promotions director, and they're watching the live webcast now. If you're in Ireland and you're watching this is one heck of a great match, first off, but second, thank you, and get onto your favorite social network site. I know Bebo is really popular in Ireland. Get on and tell your friends to tune in to the live webcast, niftytv.com/WPH, and let them watch this free webcast courtesy of niftytv.com, your online source for sports viewing, streaming over the internet, and the WPH World Players of Handball. There's a quick word right there from Owen Kennedy, the monument we like to call him.
12 serve 6.
It's fitting.
You have two big rivals in the court right here. That's Owen Kennedy and Duxie Walsh, and the rivals because Owen's trying to go after Duxie's record of 60x30 single championships. Owen has won, I believe, 7 in a row now.
Wow.
Maybe 8 in a row, and he's got 9 altogether. Trying to get up to that 14 number that Duxie has. I know that about 7 of the 9 words I just said were inaccurate, but the basis to what I'm saying is correct.
And so for those of us that don't know about 30x60, it's a brand of handball played in Ireland on a bigger court.
Just like this, but it's just 60 feet long and 30 feet wide.
Same ball?
A different ball, absolutely different. And they also play another form of 60x30 with a hard ball, sheepskin around, kind of like a baseball. And Owen has won a few times at that.
6 serves 12.
Duxie has won a lot of times, but Desi Keegan hitting that hard ball is brilliant. And
I
also
think the cement would have a hard time with that.
Tom Sherridan is also a master at both of those soft and hard balls. Here we are, though, at a 40x20 semifinal match, doubles championship here at the U.S. Open of Handball, sponsored by Simple Green. The score is 12-6.
Duxie Walsh has the classic Irish whip. Sidearm stroke where you raise your arm straight above your head and bring it in a downward
7 serves
motion.
12.
Score is now 7-12, edging closer to Team Owen Kennedy, Desi Keegan. Desi also has that Irish whip.
He does.
And the reason why that shot is developed is because of the 60x30 game. You have to generate more power. Look at that get right there from Desi Keegan.
Re-kill. The big man showing some agility in the front.
Not just that, but Tom Sherridan just shot a laser. Let's look at that on the replay if we can. Tom Sherridan loads up with that huge cannon of his. That's why we call him the cannon. Off the back wall, jacks it right in front of Desi Keegan. And here it is. Watch Tom Sherridan. Watch this shot. Not here yet. We'll get to it in a second.
There's Kennedy.
Watch this play develop. That's Desi Keegan taking off the back wall. Tom Sherridan dives in.
It's a nice long rally. Everybody's trying to stay out of trouble.
Here it is.
Here
Watch.
comes a big setup.
12 serves 7.
Tom Sherridan hit that 87 miles an hour, according to our radar gun, and Desi Keegan dives in for the re-kill.
Part of what made that play great on Desi's part was that he put himself in a position to make that play. He knew where
13
Sherridan was
serves
going,
7.
and he moved up and got ready to re-kill the ball.
Second serve.
Professional athletes always eat grapes in the webcast booth. That's what we do. Score is 13-7 here. Game 1. Winner goes into the finals of the U.S. Open of Handball.
14 serves 7.
14-7. Desi Keegan serving.
Keegan's just hitting a power serve without much power down the middle of the court, trying to find Tom Sheridan's right hand.
Well, he was successful out last time. Nice cut right there from Owen Kennedy. I think Owen thought that ball was a double bounce. Owen does not argue with anyone.
Nope. He's not going to appeal it. That isn't an appealable event that you can ask the linesman to overrule the referee and say that your opponent did not get his ball and that it bounced twice. But it's a very rare thing to get a call overturned to have two linesmen say, I saw two bounces.
Have you noticed not very many slide calls here in this match?
Right.
And maybe as the day gets a little bit...
I think the sun came out and the court is warming up a little bit.
We were about 1 or 2 slides away in that Dave Chapman match from seeing the whole operation move to another court, right, James?
Yeah, I don't think I ever got close to thinking about that. In the first game of the Moreno-Garner match, I was a little bit concerned.
Really?
We had 2 or 3 right in a row, and if it kept up, we might have had to do something. But luckily, the court held up.
Mainly for the player's safety.
Right.
That would be the first reason. And
right.
Second, it's just kind of not fair for the fans or the players.
Right. The players get very frustrated when there's too many slides, because you just get it in the back of your mind that every point's going to be replayed, and so nothing matters, and why hit the ball, you know?
You know, we could watch this doubles match here. And
uh-oh, that's a mistake.
That was what we call an announcer's curse in advance. I was actually going to say something, and that negated what I was going to say, so I'm just not going to say it. But no, we're watching a really well-played doubles match here.
It is.
Very uniform style of game here, and you could actually make a training video out of watching these Irish players play doubles.
There's not too many mistakes going on out there, that's for sure.
There's some hand errors, but you know that is expected. All of these guys are coming over playing with a different ball, but then again, they've been playing with that 60x30 ball, which is very similar to the consistency of one of those bouncy balls we used to play with as kids, the pink ball. Yeah, right.
Yeah, sure.
Just like that, where the ball is full, meaning there's no air in the middle.
Got it.
It's like a sponge. If you leave it in water, you pick it up and it weighs like 5 pounds.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's that ball, whatever that is called.
Yeah.
But that's what they play with there.
Okay. It's one of the things here that you see. There are some errors being made out there on this court, but the errors are forced errors. You have a long rally.
The score is now 17-7. Game number 1.
We have good wrap shots, good ceiling shots. In the end of a long rally, you get an error, and that's not a unforced typical hand error. It's more of your opponent hit a great shot and you couldn't get it back.
17-7.
There's a great shot of Owen Kennedy. He's now a sponsored player by Echelon, meaning Echelon has picked up Owen Kennedy as a player that they are watching. Anytime Owen does anything on the handball court, they're going to put out a press release in his picture, and that's pretty big for Prince and Echelon, James.
It's a well-deserved honor for Owen Kennedy.
They don't have a lot of sponsored players outside of the country. They may have some Canadian players, but when it comes to being over in Ireland, this is a first for Echelon, and they are not only a manufacturer of sporting goods, but they also are a sports marketing firm. They put out major press releases all around the country, all around the world, and when Owen Kennedy is in a match, it is well known that he is part of the Echelon team, and this one's being covered by that group.
That is good.
Really good for the sport of handball.
He deserves it, and you know it should be the case that players from overseas, particularly Ireland, are sponsored, because at the moment, you know, the top talent in the world is in Ireland.
19-7.
They have a strong group of players, and they deserve to be showcased.
The score is 19-7. This is the first game of the semifinals of the men's pro doubles. Desi Keegan taking that huge wind up and hitting the ball as hard as he possibly can. Now bringing it to 20-7. This is game point.
20 serve 7.
Amazing play from Owen Kennedy and Desi Keegan.
Again, nothing flashy. We're not seeing 40-foot kill shots, but we're seeing no errors.
And there it is. They win the first one. Owen Kennedy and Desi Keegan taking the current national champions, Duxie Walsh and Tom Sherridan, 21-7. We're going to take a quick break. For Chris Grad and Jeff Kastner, James Comstoff, my name is Dave Vincent. We'll be back for the Simple Green U.S. Open of Handball, game number 2 coming up right around the corner. In just a few, you stick right here at WePlayHandball.com.